Okay, this problem is a pain in the patootie because when you look at the grid they give you, here's 0, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 when you get to number 1, which means each one of these little sections is 1/7. And when I look at my two equations over here, these two equations, there's no 7s. So, you know, if you solved it for y and put it in y equals mx plus b form, it would need to cross at something with a 7th in it, which means you'd have to divide by 7, and there's no 7s in there. So this is kind of a nightmare. However, let me erase all this blue stuff over here. Okay, if I were to take the first equation, this one here, and solve it for y to see the slope, I'm going to use the little transposing trick that I talked about in class. I want a positive 3y, so I'm going to move the negative 3y. I would add 3y over, but I don't want this negative 2, so I'm going to add him over to the other side. So this is going to become 2x, and then you'll have the add 2 over here equals the add 3y on the other side. And then you'd have to divide everybody by 3. And so what you get is 2/3 x plus 2/3 equals y. And I can see my slope is 2/3 and my y-intercept is 2/3. But my squares are in 7ths. So it's not making it easy to plot a point, because normally, you know, you would just plot your y-intercept and then use your slope to rise and then run. Well, that's not easy. So you can use the slope on any point on the line. It doesn't have to be the y-intercept. It could be any point. So when I'm looking at this equation, I'm like, hey, instead of using the y-intercept, let's use the x-intercept, because the x-intercept is when y is 0. And negative 3 times 0 would just make this thing a 2x equals a negative 2. And the negative 2 divided by positive 2 is a negative 1. So it'll cross the x-axis at negative 1. And then for that, I can then use my slope of 2/3. And let me make this real tiny, tiniest as I can. And with your slope, it's for every 2 units you rise, you run over 3. And I can use my, you know, squares. Up 1, 2 squares, over 3 squares. There's another point. And then you can go up 2 squares and over 3 squares, and there's another point. Now in my math lab, they only allow you to do, you know, 2 squares, so, or I'm sorry, 2 points. And then of course I would take my ruler, woohoo, my ruler here, and rotate it. I have to use my fingers to do that. There we go. I would rotate it like that. Boop. It's going to be close. Whoops. And then my red line would go right there. All right. Okay, I've run out of room, so I'm going to erase all this, and I'm going to then do my other equation. Oh, I'm going to erase everything but the line that I've graphed. Okay, and now I'll do the other one, and we'll do this one in green. So my second equation, which is x minus 5y equals negative 2. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to add 5y over and add 2 to the other side. So over here I'll have x and an add 2 equals the positive 5y. And then of course you would just divide everybody by 5. On the x, however, you have to realize there's an invisible 1 right there. So what I get is 1/5 x plus 2/5 equals y. And it's in the y equals nx plus b form. I can see my slope is 1/5, but my y-intercept is 2/5. I can't graph that. My grid is in sevenths, not fifths. So I look at it again and I'm like, oh, same thing on this one. If you put 0 where the y is, 5 times 0 is 0. So you would have x equals negative 2. That's the x-intercept, which would be right here. And then the slope on this one, I'll do purple. The slope is 1/5, so for every 1 unit you go vertically, you'll go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and find another point on the line. And then, of course, in my math lab, that's all it gives you, but I'm just, since I'm using color, up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there, I hit that point. That's my intersection point. Of course, if I put my ruler up here and line it up with my green points, come on, you can do it. I don't know why that won't move, but okay. And then draw my green line, and there you have it. There's the intersection point right there. And so my answer, my ordered pair, let's see, let's go with I guess light blue. This would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be negative 4/7 on the x, and this would be up 1, 2. This would be positive 2/7. So my x is negative 4/7, and my y is 2/7. Do I have enough time? I think I do. I can go back to my math lab. Let's see, click to enlarge the graph. Yeah, that's really enlarged. Forget that. I'm going to do this one here. Here we go. I'm graphing a line. I put the first one at negative 1, and then it was up 2 and over 3. And then another line was at negative 2, and it was up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Lock it in place. Whoops. Hit check answer. Good job. And then this pops up. And so it says type integers or simplified fractions. So my x was, gosh, I can't remember. I just did it over here. What was it? X was negative 4/7, and y was positive 2/7. Okay. So negative 4/7, and tab over, and 2/7. All right, and enter. Fantastic. And that is that problem. Okay, there you go. Hope that helps.